you are a Muslim. Are you sure you can deliver the results? And I just look at them and I'm just like, what has my religion got to do with anything? What has my faith has got to do with the service that I provide? You're not the first client that I've served. I've done this for 5 years. So why is it that, why is it that I have to answer this question? It's not right for you to ask me in the first place.
Okay, welcome everybody to another episode of Breaking Silos with me, Sophia Jamil. Today I have Huda Hamid from Fempreneur Secrets. And it's the month of March, it's a month to celebrate women. Happy International Women's Day, everybody.
Yay!
Yeah, and that's why I invited Huda for this session, because Huda is one woman who's been able to break a lot of gender minority silos, and her organization, or her company, Fempreneur Secrets, is an online community that is geared to empowering women to start and grow their businesses, and she hopes to empower women around the world to design their life through business. So, I just want to talk to Huda, ask her to share her experiences and, the challenges that she's facing, and how we as women, regardless of our backgrounds, how can we push through and lead the lives we want and make it fruitful. So I'm just gonna tell the audience a bit more about Huda, and we can go on with the questions after that. So Huda's the founder of Fempreneur Secrets, and she has been nominated for the Most Compassionate Womenpreneur Award in 2019, and she's been invited to speak at several events, including those supported by Google in Singapore and the US State Department. And she began her entrepreneurship journey at the age of 16. As a teen, selling handmade stationery online. And then she was approached by local associations to conduct social media marketing courses when she was 19. And by the time she turned 21, she set up her own digital marketing agency and began training businesses on the importance of storytelling and digital marketing to maximize growth. And Huda believes in the importance of the value of education, and so her goal is essentially to provide women with those skills to really empower themselves and do things without feeling that they are less of a person, or they feel that they can't do it. And I think this is just a very apt episode and time to be talking about this. So yeah, Huda, please tell me. In other discussions, you have talked about the challenges you faced growing up, and despite that, you have been able to do all this great stuff. Maybe you can tell us a bit more about life growing up, and what was it like for you growing up, and how did that lead you to start entrepreneurship?
Okay, I like this question in particular because I think in any aspect of whether or not you are a woman entrepreneur or you are in a career, childhood and upbringing has a lot to do with the way that you become an adult and how you can actually survive or thrive and maneuver your ways through the world. So for myself in particular, I think I would say I have a very happy childhood. I had a very positive upbringing, a very good environment. So I am in a family of businesses. So my father had a construction company. My grandfather had the company before him, passed it down to him, and my grandmother also did a stall selling food by the street. So I'm quite familiar with the world of entrepreneurship at a very young age. So as I was growing up, I was seeing how my father was running his business, picking up phone calls, entertaining clients, going out there for meetings. And I've always felt inspired to be just like him. So when I was young, at a very young age, I think a common question our parents would ask is, what do you want to be when you grow up? So I always had this change of answers. Okay, so my answers to the question would always be that either I want to be like my father, I wanted to be a teacher, or I wanted to run a business. So these were the three things that I consistently told myself, in my life. And my father had always been very supportive. So when I was 8 years old, my father already started teaching me about the values of entrepreneurship. One of the key values he taught me was that when you are trying to go out there to have conversations with your client, you must always understand what's the background of the client before you have conversations with them. And I thought that was very interesting. So at the age of 8, my father already taught me all this kind of things. He also, being a contractor, he did get floor plans at home, and as he's filling in the colors of the designs that he've created for his clients, he would ask me to also he would photocopy one extra copy and then ask me to color it in, so that I can give some inspiration of colors. Then I think there was one project where he utilized my color because it was for a kid's room. So he utilized my colors, and he really, yeah, he brought me to the completed house, and he said, "This is the room that you designed." I think I will always remember that. It's a very nice memory to see what I've colored on paper become turned into life. So it's always been a very positive environment. So growing up, my father has always encouraged me to try on my own to sell things. So he at 8 years old, I was selling handmade bracelets, friendship bands. So I would sell it to my friends for 50 cents when our recess money was $1. So it was a huge cut. Yeah, and my friends would buy it, so they would buy it for me, and then I would just customize. So I ask them what color do they want, and I would get the strings and everything. So that was like my first hand at in the world of entrepreneurship. And every year, thereafter, every year, I would try to sell a kuih for Hari Raya. I would really do. My
Okay.
father would, get supplies for me at Johor, and then we will come back to Singapore, and we will sell it. He even gave me the opportunity to sell it at a bazaar. So to give me an opportunity to experience selling face to face with clients. Yeah, so that was like the whole experience. So it paved my way actually to choose a secondary school that favored entrepreneurship, a JC that favored leadership, and eventually a university course, or even the alumni itself that favored all of this entrepreneurial mindset, the leadership, and the skills that I've gained in order for me to start Blissful Studios, which is a video production house that I have been creating since I dropped out of university. So there was actually a lot of things that led up to Fempreneur Secrets journey. And it was because of all this experience that I felt a need for me to teach other people, teach women, so that they can carry this torch and pass it on to the next generation of women, or even of young girls that they are raising, their daughters or even their nieces, so that they will become better entrepreneurs in the future. Yeah, so that's my story in a nutshell.
Fantastic. I mean, how was it to at a at 8 years old to sell stuff to people? I mean, how as an 8-year-old did you take rejection when people didn't want to buy your stuff? I mean, how is that?
I honestly can't remember outrightly, but I don't remember feeling dejected. I remember if they reject, I would ask them to go back home and ask their mummies. I remember that. Yeah,
That's a good one.
I
Yeah.
remember that. Yeah.
Right, right.
Yeah.
So you've always been in that environment of learning how to do things. It kind of reminds me of my husband's family. His father was also a businessman, and in Morocco, if you come from a certain ethnic group, like the Sus people who are living in the south, they are known to be businessmen. So if you are a Susi person, you're definitely going to be a businessman traditionally, So in that sense, like those lessons of entrepreneurship are already like part and parcel of when you're growing up, following your father to the shop or something. So yeah, I think that really, I mean, it really gives people a leg up, especially when you're already doing it. And that I guess also uh, fills you with that passion to do it because you're already in doing it. You're already interested in it.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I guess
yeah,
so. I think in the way that we are raised, it's more of nurture over nature. So it's what
Mm.
you see happening around you that gets you inspired. But above all, I would say that I never fancied a life in the kitchen. So I think when I see my mom and I see caring for me, caring for my siblings and my family, I've always respected her. Of course, it takes a lot of courage, it takes a lot of work, but I honestly felt that she needed to be paid for what she does because she's doing a lot of work. She's always,
Oh
working,
yes.
yeah, the
Oh
whole
yes.
day. So I always felt that I didn't want that kind of life. I've always felt that even if I were to be a mother in the future, I want to have that independence to dictate the income that I would want to gain for myself, build my career, even while carrying a toddler by the side or carrying an infant by the side. This is something that I've always believed in, that we shouldn't be restricted, or we shouldn't restrict the way that we should push our careers forth just because we have responsibilities at home. I think men also have responsibilities at home. It doesn't matter whether you're a man or a woman, you still have responsibilities at home. So it is, I would say that it's not impossible for you to pursue your career or your business decisions just because you have responsibilities at home. Yeah, so that's like the biggest observation that I made as a child, that got me to where I am today.
Mm-mm. On that point, it's also about a balance, right?
Yeah.
I think many people, or at least I'm speaking for myself, like I was so like free and easy doing my own thing when I was single, doing my own business, doing my work, right? Then suddenly you get married. Oh, I have to be a wife too. I have to take care of somebody. So it's like you have to split yourself, and then somehow there's a bit of an expectation. Sometimes you put the expectations on yourself because you want to be a good wife, you want to make sure this, that, and then it's like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, it's also not just what we are doing, but also the people around us have to be supportive. And
Mhm.
I think like just looking at your recent Instagram post about having a supportive partner, I mean that's so important. I'm
Yes.
also so grateful to have a partner that is supportive, that is has no problems about women going out to do professional work or whatever. And I think that is so important, and I think that speaks to the message of what International Women's Day is about. And
Exactly.
it's not just about women saying, oh yeah, we're doing great stuff, but the other half of mankind has to be in it as well. It's not
Exactly.
just about, yeah, women empowerment cannot survive if there's no support from the male,
Yeah.
the men, basically.
Yeah, exactly. I strongly believe in that. And this whole notion of feminism, I've always felt that being a feminist doesn't mean you should negate the other genders available in the world. It is always a complementary effect to it. A feminist simply means that she believes in the rights of a woman. She believes in the freedom and also the independence that women can get, or he even believes in it. It doesn't mean that only women can subscribe to this concept of feminism. Men can
That's
too,
right.
and men
Yeah.
can
I have
support as
friends
well.
that, I have male
Yeah,
friends that call themselves feminists.
yeah, I know,
So
right?
yeah.
It's
Yeah, yeah.
amazing. It's really amazing because when we believe in such notions, right? When we believe in such movements, we are essentially making it more of an equal and a balance, like what you said earlier. It's a balance of communication, a balance of conversations that every single society, every single groups in the society can coexist together. So not just men can succeed in career, women can too, and not only women can become good parents at home, men can too. So that's exactly the conversations here. It's when we bring this forth, we're not downplaying the roles and responsibilities of men. We are actually elevating ourselves so that they will be empowered also to take some other responsibilities that have always been known to be a woman's responsibility. So I think this
Right.
is very empowering, because
Right.
without this movement of feminism, without this movement of giving women voting rights, actually I think it all started from there, giving women the rights to vote. Men would not see that women have a voice. They would not see that women have specific needs that they need in the society. So all of this comes into play, and then later on, when I think sometime around the 90s, when lots and lots more women wants to go out to work, then the husbands also start to think like, if the woman's going out to work, then how can I, take care of my kids? Because the concept of babysitters is not that accepted yet at the time. People don't like strangers coming into their homes. So someone in the household need to take care of their children. So that's where the balance of responsibility come in. And dads, even fathers, they start to see they love their children, they want to spend time with their children. And that's empowering to me. It doesn't have to be a single role in the family nucleus for you to take care of your your children, or even your elderly for that matter. Everyone has a responsibility to pay, and it's important that we push that notion forward. Yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, if you talk about women out in the workforce, Prophet Muhammad's first wife was a businesswoman. Even
Exactly.
before the women's suffrage in the U.S. If you talk way back, women were already doing business in other parts of the
Yeah.
world. So it really depends on what people have been brought up with, what not only what they've been brought up with, but what has been perpetuated by society, and it depends on who does this sort of perpetuation benefit.
Mm-hmm.
And obviously, it makes it easier if there's that division of labor. Women are
Yeah.
in the kitchen doing the housework, doing the cleaning, and then uh, do the necessary to provide for the family. I mean, that's noble in its own way.
Yes,
But
of
I think
course.
in the way that the jobs that are created now, the possibilities, that creates a new opportunities for everyone to play a part in, and to say that men have to do the ladies' work, the housework, that's actually good because they're improving their own skills, and they can finally see the value of how hard it is to do these menial tasks at home. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I
So
totally get you.
yeah.
Whenever I have this conversation about men having to do household chores or has take some responsibilities in the kitchen, I always think about in Singapore, the boys have to go through NS to become men, right? Okay, so the concept of NS itself is a whole other story. So let's not discuss whether women should serve national service. But I'm just thinking that when they go through national service, they also have to learn how to cook. They have to learn how to take care of themselves. They have to learn how to fold their own clothes, how to clean up after their own beds. So why is it that when they come home, they suddenly forget about that, right? So it's
Because
not
mom
that
is taking care of them.
mummies or wives who wants to become like mummies. So I think when we enable them, we are making it such a way that they are the kings of the house. So if we get rid of this idea that they are the kings of the house, and that they have to take care of themselves, and also to empower the boys that we raise in the future, we will definitely be able to see a better community, a much more high level, a much more elevated community, where everybody's responsibilities is equal, and everybody's responsibility is it's the same for everyone. Like, you have to take care of yourself, you got to cook, you got to eat. I mean, you have to cook to eat. Yes, and you have to clean after yourself. It's not you're gonna always be wearing dirty laundry, right? So that's like
Absolutely,
the logic behind
absolutely.
it. It's survival
Yeah.
skills. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's a partnership, right? You marry
Exactly.
someone, it's a partnership, you give and take. Uh, yeah. So, what has been the biggest challenge that you have had to face so far in your entrepreneurship journey?
Actually, the role or the journey of an entrepreneur is never ending with challenges, and that's what makes it exciting. So if you stop facing challenges, you are not going to be able to grow. So challenge is only supposed to be there to make us stronger and make us a better version of where we are than we were yesterday. So in terms of the biggest, I would say the most memorable challenge rather, that I had to go through was having to tap into my savings to a point where it went down to zero in order for me to pay my salary for the staff. So this has happened. I think even before. I think there was one financial crisis that happened before COVID. Actually, before COVID, it happened before, and it came to a point where I had to make a decision: is my expenses more important, or is my staff's priority to be paid more important? I think when we become leaders in our businesses, when we become leaders in anything, we always need to prioritize the people that we are taking care of. So they are our responsibility. In Islam, they are our amanah. So it is therefore our responsibility to make sure that their pay, their salary is taken care of. So that was the biggest challenge, actually, making sure that I had enough to pay them. It's okay if I had to, eat. If I had to just eat rice forever in that whole month, or a few months down the road, I'm fine as long as they're taken care of. Yeah. So my husband and I, as business partners, we will often make that decision that it's okay. We can be okay, but the priority is for them to be taken care of. Yeah. So that was, I think, the most memorable challenge, and out of it we rise. We became better. We realized that when we prioritize our staff, they also appreciate it, and because they appreciate it, they perform better. They see that we care about them. They see that we want to put their needs above ours. So that's where, like, the relationship is able to be built as well. Yeah. So I think that was the most memorable challenge that I had to go through in my business. Of course, like I shared earlier, there are plenty of challenges for any businesses to go through.
Yeah.
Uh, in this
And then,
regard of breaking silo, I actually wanted to mention as well that one of the challenges that I went through as an entrepreneur, not just specifically as a business itself, one of the biggest challenges that I went through as an entrepreneur was when I had to do a pitching I had to pitch my services to a company that I leave it to you whether you want to include this as part of the conversation or not. Okay, so this company is based in China. They came to Singapore. They wanted to like work with us. So first question was, why can't you speak Mandarin? So that was the first question that they asked me. So I wasn't offended by that question. I was just shocked by that question. Okay, this is because it's not the first time that I actually went through it. I was just shocked that it came from a Singaporean. I was shocked lah. Okay, so the question about why do you not speak Mandarin didn't come from the Chinese counterpart, the Chinese counterpart. It came from a Singaporean Chinese who wanted to impress their China partners. But this Chinese, they were okay. They were okay speaking to me in English. They didn't even bring it up. Like, why would they bring it up? They're in someone else's land. They know that, they have to learn how to speak English. So I was very taken aback to that. And then the second question comes in was that, you are a Muslim. Are you sure you can deliver the results? And I just look at them and I'm just like, what has my religion got to do with anything? What has my faith has got to do with the service that I provide? You're not the first client that I've served. I've done this for 5 years. So why is it that I have to answer this question? It's not right for you to ask me in the first place. So that the Chinese counterpart felt, I think, was taken aback with the way that I responded, and he apologized. So he said that it was wrong of him to ask in that manner, or more of like the Singaporean counterpart shouldn't have asked in that manner. And the other question that was raised, which I thought was a bit weird, was that, why can't you close the deal today? Why can't we sign the contract today? Yeah, so I know this is how the Chinese work. Okay, the Chinese work that way. If they meet, it means they really want to do the deal right there, right then. So I mean, in my organization, we cannot do that because I have to discuss whether my team is able to take up this responsibility. We also have to fact check the company beforehand. And this is our first meeting. It's not even like, it's not even I've met him like 3-4 times before this. It's our first meeting. So, there's a lot of things that we need to do beforehand. There's a lot of background work. So I explained to him, I said, that's not how it's done here in Singapore. In Singapore, we take a couple of time first before we convene in our within our own organization to decide whether or not we want to take this project. It doesn't work this way in Singapore. So if you are here in Singapore, then you should be able to adapt. So that was a very big challenge for me, actually, because I came back home and I cried. I really
all
did.
right.
'Cause I really thought that, I've never faced such discrimination before. And this is discrimination in my own country where I am a Singaporean by someone not Singaporean. So I
Right.
felt, like I felt shocked, at all that this was happening. Yeah. So when I spoke to the middleman who connected us, I told him that I didn't felt that it was right for him to speak that way, because it's just not the way Singapore is. We are a multiracial society. We are a meritocratic society. So I have my portfolio as proof that I've done work like this. So why is it that they are so doubtful just because I have a piece of cloth around my head, or why are they just so doubtful because I cannot speak Mandarin? Yeah, so I really was in shock. I would say I was just in complete shock. So it really did hurt me. But my husband told me that this is part and parcel of running a business, and if you want, you want to become more global, this is what you have to encounter, this is what you have to face. So that sort of like planted a seed in my mind and also in my heart that I would only serve clients who can treat my team with respect. So we revamped our values in the organization. We added in one extra value, which is ethical. And we felt that in order for you to be ethical, there is that notion in your heart. And when you are serving this group of clients, or when you are serving anyone for that matter, you need to think of them with respect. You need to also make sure that it is not it's not something that you agree right there right then, because it's not ethical. If you don't have time to sit down and think about it, that you are being pushed to make a impulse decision, and that can also become have some repercussions to it. So I don't actually believe in impulse marketing. I really don't like it. Yeah, I find that it's a bit too hard for people to react. And in Islam also, it is not recommended for us to do such things, because we need to give time for the person to think about
Exactly.
it. They need to ponder upon it. So at least 3 days, I think that's good enough for them to think about it, have conversations with the people that matters in their life. So that was the biggest challenge, but I managed to overcome it. And every time when I tell this story, I always tell them that it's okay to be a minority. It's okay for you
Oh,
to,
absolutely.
yeah, it's
Absolutely.
completely fine. It's, you are
Yeah.
in your own country. You shine the way that you do. You shine the way that that you have worked towards your career. That 1% is just that 1%. So you can think about the hundreds of people that you have served. That 1% is just a number. It's an outlier. You shouldn't actually care so much about that. Yeah, so that's my
Yeah.
story of challenge.
No, yeah, I mean, that's fantastic. That's like a really great story. I mean, you meet a lot of different kinds of people, and
Yeah.
as much as you would like to believe in the ideal that it's a multiracial society, actually people are still in their own silos.
Yep.
I remember my one of my JC friends. Um, she said to me, "Oh, Sophia, you're my first you're my first non-Chinese friend." I'm like, "Wow, okay, well that's nice." But in the at the second part, I was thinking, "Where have you been your for your whole life for like 17 years?" So it's like, as much as it's multicultural, some of these cultural communities still stay within their own kind. And if you're not talking to people, if you're not talking to your neighbor, then it's no point having a HDB block with different neighbors if you're not talking to each other, if you're not
Yeah.
sharing, and if the and it's also sometimes it's obviously maybe a bit of ignorance, and
Mm-hmm.
the way the question is posed might come off a bit offensive, and that takes time. People need to know how to ask questions or be
Mm-mm.
inquisitive without having a judgment in the way
Yep.
they're asking. um but and I mean, on that point, like, it's okay to be a minority. For me, I felt like, you know I'll just maximize what I have as a minority.
Mm-hmm.
And actually, for me, I felt that, even within our Malay Muslim community, right? I kind of stuck out a bit for some people, and they didn't know how to deal with me. So it was like, okay. So for me, it was it was, I wouldn't say discrimination, but it was like the feeling of being left out was not
Yep.
just necessarily from the people
Yeah.
from outside the community, but also within the community. I think within
Mm-hmm.
the community, there's a lot of silos as well, and how
Yeah.
we interact with each other, given our diverse backgrounds within the community itself. Um, but on that note, I just thought to myself, well, that's okay. I will just operate in such a way that if people like me, great. If people are attracted to my vibe, great. And sometimes it was great to be in this blurred gray area.
Yeah.
And I remember, like, one colleague in my first job. He turned out to be a friend of my uncle's, but he never knew that I was Malay. He thought I was like some Eurasian girl. So like he got a shock, like, oh, you're Malay, you're Muslim. Oh, you're so and so's niece. Like, yeah. So it's interesting, you know. I like the elusiveness kind of helps me actually to break the ice
Yeah.
and just, start relations. And I think when it comes to business, like you say, you just met the person for the first time. You need to build that trust, right? I
Yeah.
mean, maybe in the Chinese situation, in the Chinese China context, they all already know each other. They all are in the same wavelength. So even if they meet for the first time, they kind of like, okay, I can still find you or
Yeah.
something, right?
Probably.
Whereas,
Probably.
yeah, whereas here it's like, I mean, obviously, at the end of the day, there's still more. It still boils down to trust and whether you
Mm-hmm.
can trust the person and whether you feel comfortable about it. Like you
Yeah.
say, there's no need to be compulsive in taking action.
Yeah.
On the other hand, there's also like other cultures where building that trust takes a long time, and I've seen
True.
and I've seen that also, like, for Singaporeans that go abroad to some other countries who are expecting the high level of efficiency to happen.
Oh.
Sorry, that doesn't work, and
Yeah.
we cannot assume that everyone is going to operate in the Singapore standard, and we
Yeah.
cannot assume that everyone thinks Singapore is great, as
Mm-hmm.
Singaporeans are great, because there are people that might think, well, you might be great, but you're also very snooty, you're very sombong, very proud. So it's like, how are you actually building those relations with people outside? I think that because we're so small, as much as we're doing great, like so well for ourselves, like
Mm-hmm.
at the end of the day, we are dependent on the world more than the world is dependent on us. You
I
know,
love that.
I mean, it's true. Like, fine if we're learning, and that is why I believe it's so important that we learn more than just one language, not just
Mm-hmm.
our mother tongue, but beyond that.
Yes.
Learning Mandarin is great to speak
Yeah.
to China and other Chinese speaking communities, but what about our immediate neighbors?
Yeah.
And how are we engaging our immediate neighbors rather than seeing them as like enemies or like annoying neighbors or something? It's like,
Yeah.
how are you actually optimizing and maximizing all those potential businesses that could actually work to your favor?
Exactly. I love
Yeah.
this, Sophia. I love that you raised this. That I think a lot of us, a couple of things that you've mentioned resonate well with me, which is the fact that a lot of our issues don't actually just happen outside of our own communities. It can happen within our own communities as well, where people judge you based on the way that you look, the way that you sound, or the things that you do, even the way that you dress, which is very common in our society, in the Malay community, very common. And
Yeah,
I
that
think
one.
it's yeah. And I think it's very important also, like what you've mentioned, that we really need to embrace the diversity and also be part of the movement or be part of the change that we want to see in the world. So like what you've mentioned, yes, learning Mandarin is one of the things that is important to me. It is something that I wanted to do, but I put priority on learning Arabic first. I mean, for Islamic reasons, that's the reason why I wanted to learn Arabic first, and I also wanted to learn a little bit more about my own culture first, because I feel that if you want to go out there and you want to, tell the people why you are different, the way for you to have good conversations is when you really know your own self, you know your own identity, and you can defend your identity for whenever people are saying things that's negative or wrong about yourself. So it's important to me that when we are trying to defend ourselves or trying to put ourselves across there, to break those mini silos that's happening in the society at large without harming the social fabric, it is important for us to take a look back into the history of the culture, history of the the ethnicity. Like, how did we come up with such things? Like, why is it that perhaps my neighbors are afraid to speak to me just because I'm a Muslim? Is it because they have this perception that very difficult? I'm a very difficult neighbor. I'm going to be a very difficult one, or is it they have this perception that they think that we may find them difficult? this kind of mindsets might actually exist. So it is good for us to always just think about the people around us as human beings. If we see that someone is in need, we can take a step forward. Whatever ethnicity they are in, whatever language that they speak, we try anyway. We try to communicate. We try to help. We try to do whatever we can because they are a human being at all. At all costs, they are human lives. So if we look at every single human as a human being, a part of the society, they are contributing to the society, we will look at the ways, we will look at doing our business, or we would even look at leading our lives a lot differently. So this is one of the things that when I was growing up, my father taught me really, really well about this. So it doesn't matter what ethnicity that you are in, doesn't matter what religion that you are in, you must always support one another and be there for your friends and families, because they are human, because they are the people that makes the
Oh,
society.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, my dad and all would talk about how in the old days, there was no issue of like people, you can be black, white, yellow, Chinese,
Mm,
Indian, Malay, you're still like, hanging
yeah.
out together.
Yeah.
So I mean, I think again, it's like you say, it's the predispositions people have without actually talking to the person, without
Yes.
actually communicating, and having, oh, this person is this person is that. Or then if that person happens to do something that validates their assumption, oh, that must be correct. They think that whatever they're thinking is correct, but actually it's not necessarily the case. You know what I
Mm-hmm.
mean?
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
And in these predispositions that you have just mentioned also can be tied back to the way that businesses are being run. If we talk about, like, I'm just going to use women entrepreneurs as an example. So that often, like, when you position yourself as more visible, okay, you always like you position yourself as more visible. Like yesterday, I met one of the communities that one of the members that we are in, right, Sophia, and then she was like, "Oh, Huda, you're so high level. How is it that you want to speak to me?" She's like, "Why is it that I'm
What?
high level? What have I done that is a high level?" So there's always this predispositions that when you take a look at people, just because they are somewhere, you make an assumption that they have everything taken care of, they have their life all in order. But everyone's human. Everyone is human. So if you look at that, everyone is human. The way you look at people will be different. The way you look at celebrities will be different as well.
Oh yeah. Oh
Yeah,
yeah.
totally. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's funny, like this thing about when when some people, when they see you doing something, whatever you've achieved, right? I mean, there's a lot of challenges that came before that, right? Everyone goes through a few failures before they actually have, achievements.
Yeah.
But I don't know whether also for some people, I mean, I find it very sad when I see people get jealous about,
Ah.
oh, so like it was interesting. I had a cousin who's doing like tingkat business.
Ooh, nice.
So yeah, I'll give her a number if you want. So anyway, she's been doing a tingkat business, and a food thing pretty good. And I think she wanted to experiment with doing roti jala. So she
Mm-hmm.
said, okay, I'm just like trying this out. Then someone who was selling roti jala said to her, like in a very antagonistic way, "Why are you selling this? You're going to give more competition to the rest of us." But hey, I'm just starting this. Like what's wrong? We're all selling the same, food. Like why run down someone when actually that should be your cue to actually improve or just build your own quality or your own base? You know what I mean?
Okay, this is very interesting because I just had this conversation, like just had this conversation before I spoke to you, Sophia, and
Okay.
I gave this idea that there's two ways to look at it. Like one way is what you have mentioned, that if someone is competing with you, take it as an opportunity for you to find ways to improve your business, and that is why competition is good. In the world of economics, economists all over the world in the past as well have said that competition is necessary for us to always make it better for the society. Okay, but there is the other hand, and this other hand is this idea that back in the days where I would take it as an example for a time when Rasulullah was still around, when we look and imagine a souk, a marketplace, we see that every single one of them have something that they specialize in. So they open a shop, they specialize in figs. Then they won't sell anything but figs. And then another person will sell dates. And he won't buy fixed. I mean, he won't sell fixed as well. He would just sell days, you know. And then there will be another person who will be selling just bread and they won't sell anything else. They specialize. So when we look at that concept, what's happening there is that in business, you should be specializing. You should be creating a niche for yourself. And if you want to experiment, if you want to try it out, by all means. But then later on, you have to make a strong decision. What is your area of specialization? The reason behind this is very simple because when you specialize, you are the person, the go to person for that. Then no one else can do it because you are that person who can serve that requirement that a customer may have. But if you look at, if you try to be everything, which we see a lot happening nowadays in businesses, like Pizza Hut is also selling spaghetti, right? So Pasta Mania is also selling pizza. And then, like, you know, all those other fast food chains, they are trying to be like every other fast food chain. So that
And their
you're not
suppliers
known.
are all the same people,
Yeah. Oh,
same
wow.
companies,
Yes.
right?
Okay.
The
If the
same, yeah.
suppliers are the same, they're gonna all taste the same. There's no specialization, nothing that makes you special. So in that regard, you are actually not elevating your business. You are making yourself just like everybody else. And you are also in this world where you are hustling, which is something that I just posted on Instagram as well. Like when you hustle, you are creating a very negative environment for yourself as an entrepreneur. So you are making it such that you are always trying to chase. You're always trying to chase the latest thing, always trying to be involved in the latest trend. And then at the end of it, right? It doesn't give you any benefit at all because you'll be tired after having to run, run and sprint, run and sprint, run and sprint all the time. It's not strategic. So being a good entrepreneur requires you to be strategic, and that is one of the things that you can look at it as well. Not just that it's good competition is good, but you can also take a look at it that when you specialize in what you are good at, it makes you known for it. So you can look at
Right.
it both ways and make a better decision from there.
That's
Yeah,
good.
that's
That's a
that's
good
my
point.
my take from your story.
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah. I mean, like, uh, I think that specialize, I think in terms of like people who are doing the food business, right? It's like if they only offer one thing, then they don't want the customer to get bored or jelak. You know what I mean? So that's why
Yeah.
I think they have a bit of variety to cater to
Mhm.
everybody. Like, but yeah,
Uh,
again, I guess yeah, it really depends on what do you want to be known as. I
mm,
mean, I guess spaghetti in Pizza Hut, I suppose that would just be the add-on.
mhm.
Or I mean, they're still known for pizza, but yeah, I know what you mean. It kind of like dilutes your signature piece, that sort of thing. Yeah, that's true. Actually, you're right. Like it is a
Yeah.
bit. And I mean, do many people still go to Pizza Hut?
I mean, I still do. I
Oh,
still
really?
do.
Okay.
Yeah, but if I go Pizza Hut, I would still just get the pizza because they're known for that, and they're known for that for years, not just like yesterday. They're known
Is
for it for a few years. Yeah.
Pizza Hut is closing? I can't remember where, but in some countries they're already closing down.
Oh, okay.
So like yeah, I mean yeah. So I was wondering like, are they still doing good in the business? But I guess maybe it
Yeah.
depends on the market. So
Yeah.
yeah.
They're quite okay here in Singapore, I think, because they have student prices, so it
Oh
helps.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
that's true. That's true. I like Pezzo though. I thought Pezzo has a nice,
Oh
interesting
yes.
varieties. Yeah.
Peso is nice. I think, and I like the concept that they have selling by slice. That was the first of its kind. You see,
Oh
this
yeah,
is what
yeah.
I mean. You know, you specialize in something, you come up with a unique business model, you stand out, and that's what Peso has done as well. They sell pizzas. The greatest competitor would be Pizza Hut or even Canadian pizza that's happening. I mean, that's around in Singapore. So
All in
when they sell,
one
yeah,
offer. Yeah,
yeah, and you
yeah.
know, most recently at North Point in Yishun here in Singapore, Pizza Hut tried to emulate the business model that Pezzo has, which is to sell by slices. I don't think
Mm-hmm.
that they're actually doing that well because I don't see a queue
Mm-hmm.
as much as I see at Pezzo. So
Mm-hmm.
that's what other companies are trying to do. They're trying to emulate. They're trying to be just like what they are.
Copycats.
Yeah. So copycats, exactly. Tomorrow's post is about that. Just like I've already planned all of these things. Yeah.
Interesting. Prelude to Huda's post. By the way, this is not a sponsored post for Pezzo, but we just like it. So
Yeah.
yeah. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, let's talk about uh what you've got planned for 2021 and beyond. And
Okay.
of course, you've recently launched the Academy, Fempreneur Secrets Academy, which you had recently launched when we were having the discussion with Tammy and Mai. Maybe you'd like to talk more about that?
Sure. Okay. So, for those of you who are thinking of starting a business, especially now when you still have your 9 to 5 job, one thing that I want to, like implore to you is please don't quit your job just like that. Don't, because you need to have a proper plan. You need to have a proper structure before you leave your job. And a lot of people make this mistake of leaving their jobs and then they sour, or they break the ties. They really burn the bridges. That's also not a good strategy. So this is why in what I wanted to share more of is actually that I wrote this ebook called The Art of Firing Your Boss. Okay, and this ebook has a 9-month plan for you to really strategize what you need to do before you quit your job. And basically, I'm telling you, you've got 9 months to prepare your business before you leave your job. And in that 9 months, include a 2 months notice period to your boss, if it's in your agreement with your company. So everything has been structured out and it's been planned out. And this is exactly the things that would have helped me when I left my job. It would have. So it's really something that I felt it was really necessary for you to start a business on the right frame of mind with the right set of people and with the necessary skill sets that you need. So inside this ebook, you will definitely be able to learn all of that. Yeah. So for that one, later I will pass on the link over to Sophia, and I think you can also go to the description link in the description below. Okay, and what Sophia has mentioned is the Fearless Fempreneur Academy. Now, this one is specifically designed for entrepreneurs, women entrepreneurs that have been in business for at least a year. Like you've already started to see some income coming in. This is where you're going to help to boost your business to the next level with community, with knowledge. So we've got some courses, core courses that we already included inside the Fearless Entrepreneur Academy. Plus, you will also have access to group coaching. So on a month-to-month basis, I will come into the community and I will randomly pick one of you to share your biggest challenge, and then we will come together and overcome it. So that the women in the community have already gone through this whole notion of group coaching. They enjoyed it so much because, interestingly, when you are in a community, what happens is that the strategies or the way for you to overcome these challenges doesn't just come from me, it comes from the community. Some of them may see things differently, and this helps to give you greater insight into what you can do in your business. We really, really, created this with the woman entrepreneur in mind who are solopreneurs. Like this journey is lonely. Like that how lonely it is, right, Sophia? It can get so, so lonely. And when you have
I'm
community,
lonely here. Well, I do have a
yeah,
partner, but yeah, I'm kind of lonely.
yeah, I know, right? And we are already separated by boundaries already because of the pandemic, and we know that how lonely it can get. So when you want to go out there, you want to meet people, it's more challenging now than last time. Yeah, so when you want to interact with people, you want to get advice. It also sometimes, you have this question at the back of your mind, whether or not can this person be trusted if you were to share, something. So, Fearless Fempreneur Academy is a safe environment for you. So, this is the reason why we created this. We want you to be able to share what you need to share, what are the challenges that you are going through, so that you can elevate yourself. Yeah. So, the link for you to join Fearless Fempreneur Academy is right down in the description below. I think so. We will use Sophia's link. Yeah. And just come to the community and you will start to access the core courses where you can learn the bare basics of running a business, the foundation of making sure your business runs in order. Yeah, I think that's basically it.
Excellent. Yeah, I
Yeah.
mean that point about how to not be alone when you're alone and having that community with you. I mean, that was kind of pretty much the reason why I joined Mushida's community, which we are both part of. Shout out to Mushida and Zeal. So, like when I moved back to Asia from Germany, and being in this lockdown period, I thought, okay, I need to get a sense of what's happening in here in the region again and get to know more business people. So yeah, I mean, I totally agree that um, you know expanding your network is so important, and now with Zoom and everything's online. It does help that you can reach out to many people. Of course, face to face would be nice, but to start off, the world is your oyster pretty much, right? And
Yeah.
I think I think the your ebook really complements Sakib's the episode, the Breaking Silos episode we had with Sakib, who talked about pivoting to a career with social impact, and I think your ebook really complements what he's talking about. So yeah, also Sakib, also from Rashida's network, so Leave a Legacy network. So yay, happy to have met Sakib through that, and of course you and everybody in the community.
Yeah.
So yeah, definitely will include the links to the academy and ebook in the description. Maybe to just end off, what advice would you give someone who is trying to break silos, and
Mm.
particularly breaking out of a difficult past, and dealing with those misperceptions and stereotypes? What
I
what would
would
be those final words for them?
Okay, so this I like your questions, Sophia. I've always find that the questions that you had are always very high level. They are very elevated questions. Okay, so in terms of the best words of advice that I can give someone who's trying to break silos or trying to break stereotypes, I'd say don't think of the stereotypes as a hindrance. They are not. They are not. What do you call that? Shackles. They are not shackles that's holding you down from moving forward. Forget about it. You just go with your own momentum and move forward. Because when you forget about all those stereotypes and you just move yourself forward, you will see the impact that you can actually make with the world. So don't think about the stereotypes as they are. Think of it as a way for you to be different. Think of it as a way for you to stand out in a crowded market of people who are the same or people who think they are the same. So you are different already as it is. You are exotic.
Yeah,
Right?
that is true. Yeah, be exotic.
Yeah.
Just be exotic. Yeah, I totally agree with that. Be different, be exotic, be you. And if you can't find um, uh, people that inspire you, that look like you be you. You be the
Yeah,
person to inspire others that look like you. I mean, yeah,
exactly.
yeah. Well, thank you, Huda. I really enjoyed this conversation. I told you it was going to be like 30, 40 minutes. We went up to 51, which is fine, which was, it was a really great, input and, content that we've been talking about. So yeah, folks, links will be provided in the description to Huda's ebook and Fearless Fempreneur Academy. And of course, don't forget to share this video to other people who really benefit from what we've talked about. And we will see you next week, or rather, the next time on the next episode of Breaking Silos with me, Sophia Jamil. So this is me, Sophia, with Huda Hamid, saying bye.
Bye. Thank you.